Timirandasya Dhyananjana Salakaya Chakshunamilitanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmaitaya Taravo Vinedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatasmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptashta Kamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Papana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So we're going to go back to the Chaitanya Bhagavat, hearing at this time about Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Madhya Kanda, chapter 12. Anyway, and we offer our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Chanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, we heard up to text 26 in this chapter, and we're hearing about unusual, highly, you might call them eccentric, certainly esoteric, very difficult to understand pastimes, except if we realize that Nityananda Prabhu is the fully complete form of the personality of Godhead, acting as the devotee, but in his role he's acting as avadut, deeply internally engaged at all times, and so often the activities that he performs externally are not in sync with the external world. But he and Mahaprabhu have a delightful relationship, and Mahaprabhu has a different course of action. He is very conscientious of the rules and regulations, particularly of, at this time he's like a householder, but later he'll become sannyas. But in both cases, he's acting very appropriately and strictly according to the dharma of a brahmana. Right? So, without repeating all these pastimes, the last verses we heard were simply by the mercy of Nityananda, one obtains a devotional service of Vishnu. Know it for certain that Nityananda is the full potency of Sri Krishna. And there is a very beautiful purport, which I'm going to read because this section brings us into the next part. And this is Nityananda Tattva. Without understanding, being grounded in the philosophical principles, you're going to impose material ideas and considerations and generally misunderstand and perhaps make offense. So, what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says that Mahaprabhu said, because this is a quote from Mahaprabhu, that verse we read, Nityananda Prasade Se Hoya Vishnu Bhakti Janiha Krishnera Nityananda Purna Shakti. Mahaprabhu said, you should know Sri Nityananda Prabhu as the complete potency of Lord Krishna. He is the topmost among the servants of Krishna. Only by his mercy can one achieve devotion to Vishnu. Okay, only by his mercy. So we're being blessed with these statements and pastimes of Nityananda so that we may hear and develop faith and become very eager to take the blessings and shelter and come under the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He is the form of Vishnu presiding over the Sandini potency. What is Sandini? Sandini is the basis of all existence. It's that which causes, which is responsible, that Shakti, for the spiritual realm, all the planets, all the items, everything that has form, shape, even the bodies of Radha and Krishna, Mahaprabhu, everybody, it's all resting on that potency. He is the predominating deity over that Shakti. And so, as Lord Baladev, he's also the source of special expansions, all the living entities, all the other devotees in Vrindavan. As Lord Narayan, he's responsible for the creation of all the devotees, all the vast servants of the different incarnations in the Vaikuntha planets, as well as the Vaikuntha planets themselves. And as Mahavishnu, he's the source of the jivas, the Tatashta Shakti, who mostly come to this world, but if they don't, if they by chance, by good fortune, at the time when they are carried in the glance of the Lord, if they look towards the spiritual realm, towards Lord Vishnu, they become attracted by that internal potency, and they go there. But the rest of us, because of neglect, disinterest, many different words are given, we look in the other direction, see Maya, and instantly become attracted to that. And then the potency of the Maya Shakti throws us into this material energy and also covers us with the false ego, which makes us identify with the gross and subtle material bodies that we're given, and here we are. So, but he is the presiding deity over that potency, right? So, special connection with Nityananda Prabhu. He is the source, he is the predominating deity of that energy which gives us our existence. And Krishna is the predominating deity of Chit, which makes us aware. Who are we? What is our relationship with the Lord? What is our service, right? And Srimati Radhika is the personification of the Ladini, the pleasure potency, which is actually, you could call it the loving potency, that which inspires and gives great pleasure in service, which is our constitutional position. The living entity has within them, even the conditioned ones, we have within us dormant that love of God. This is our natural dharma. But our natural dharma has been covered by these external conditions. And bhakti is that which uncovers us and awakens that dormant Krishna bhakti. So, although he is, Saraswati Prabhupada goes on, although he is Lord Vishnu himself, he nevertheless serves the Supreme Vishnu. He serves the origin of all Vishnu tattvas. Swayam Bhagavan, right? Ete Chanksakalak Pungsa Krishnas Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Right? Only by his mercy, Nityananda, is the living entity's propensity for worshipping Hari awakened. Okay, so this is his translation of what Mahaprabhu said, kind of a Bhavanuvad. Now he goes on to explain further. In his form as the younger sister of Radharani, who is Ananga Manjari, Sri Nityananda Prabhu nourishes conjugal mellows. That is why Sri Narottam Thakur has said He na nitya vinay bai Radha Krishna paite nai Dita kore dara nitya paya. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So taking those words of Narottam Das Thakur, emphasized by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, should pause for a moment, consider that, without taking shelter of the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Again, why do we use the word lotus? Remember we heard? Because it's a beautiful decorative term. A lotus is so beautiful, the feet of Lord Nityananda are so beautiful. They're compared to the beauty of a lotus, right? So, without taking shelter of this great form of the Lord, coming as the best of devotees, very difficult to approach Radha and Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, in other words, Rasa Leela, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So pause and make that prayer. We want to, like Narottam Das. Oh, Nityananda, I want to take shelter of your lotus feet. Please remove all the obstacles to that. As the Supreme Jagat Guru, Sri Nityananda Prabhu alone is the origin of Guru Tattva. Right? He alone is the origin of Guru Tattva. In regards to the devotee, Jagat Guru, the spiritual master is an incarnation of Sri Nityananda, who is the manifestation of Sri Chaitanya. So all of our spiritual masters represent that. And there's something to consider, that our spiritual masters, they come in the line of Rupa Goswami, right? We're Rupanugas. And so internally they're all tasting those mellows, this Manjari Seva to Srimati Radhika and to Sri Brajendrananda and Sri Krishna, right? Govinda, Gopinath, Madan Mohan. But as servants of Nityananda, they may taste all the other rasas as well. Nityananda, he's able to taste the ras of Madhurya Leela because of his form of Ananga Manjari. But he does not, as Lord Baladev, he doesn't directly interact with Radha and Krishna. He directly interacts with them not as Baladev, but as Ananga Manjari. And as Baladev, his chief moods are Sakya, Samvatsalya, and certainly Dasya, right? And so our spiritual masters, because Madhurya Ras is the fountainhead of all the other rasas, and all the other rasas are most fully tasted in Madhurya, the spiritual master may also become absorbed in tasting these other moods. Just like in the book Bhakti Rasayan, which is a collection of verses compiled by Sanatana Goswami at the end of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, special verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that, there's glorification of all of the different kinds of servants of Krishna in Vrindavan, right? Some in Sakyaras, some in Dasya, or even what appears to be Shanta, but there's no pure Shanta in Vrindavan. It exists because Shanta exists within all the rasas, but it doesn't limit or dominate. But the gopis, they glorify all the different kinds of devotees. And when Sanatana Goswami is reciting these verses in his commentary, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj is explaining how he's tasting these beautiful rasas. Is that wrong for someone in Madhurya Ras to taste the beauty of Sakya Ras? Of course not. Sakya Ras is so tasteful. To admire and want to understand the beauty of the moods of Jashoda and Nanda Baba? Of course not. One time, and one commentary when he's describing the cowherd boys singing to Krishna while he's resting, massaging his feet, massaging his arms. He's describing how Sanatana Goswami is immersed in the joy and beauty of this rasa. Does that mean that it's his rasa? No. It means he can taste it. One who's in Madhurya can taste all the rasas and become very absorbed. In fact, in the Jaiva Dharma, it's described that in Madhurya Ras, the sanchari bhav of the other rasas, or the other rasas are like a sanchari bhav for one in Madhurya Ras. Generally, sanchari bhavs are very specific emotions, like jubilation, like fear, like, all kinds of subtle transformations which assist in the experience of their main mood of service, right? But for those in Madhurya Ras, these others, rasas, they're like temporary moods that may completely overwhelm them at one time or another. That's the nature of the sanchari bhav. If the sthayi bhav is like the ocean, fixed and unmoving, right? This is your real identity, your full identity. The sanchari bhav is like a wave in that ocean that may come up so high, one may become so absorbed in that, even forget their own sthayi bhav for some time and become so absorbed in that immediate mood. And it might be fear even, like Mother Yashoda seeing Krishna in the coils of Kaliya, so much that she becomes completely unconscious, but also like Sakya, right? Oh, because cowherd boys are so delightful. So one time they asked Srila Prabhupada, "Are you a cowherd boy?" And he said, "I don't know, but I like cowherd boys." So there's so much controversy about that. But Srila Prabhupada could be all of them because he is a Rupanuga. He is in that deep Madhurya mood, and all the other rasas can be tasted and taught. Mahaprabhu taught and tasted all of the rasas as well. So, even though his primary experience was in the mood of a gopi, specifically Srimati Radhika, but Srila Prabhupada mentions in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the chapter about Rasa Yatra, that he was tasting the moods of so many gopis, different gopis, not just Radhika. So, that's why Radhika expands all these forms, right? So that Krishna can have infinite varieties of pleasure and taste, tasting the service and love of Radhika herself in all these different features. So the spiritual master is most dear to Lord Krishna because, like Sri Nityananda, he is also a manifestation of Sri Chaitanya. And he is renowned to be as good as Nityananda. The travelers on the path of devotional service do not accept the identification of Nityananda's family through seminal consideration. The non-devotee smartas who are averse to the service of Vishnu attribute such unreasonable propositions to the family of Nityananda, but the devotees of the Lord are completely against this. The family of Nityananda is based on disciplic succession. Since it is not based on seminal succession, many ordinary villagers who were disciples of Virabhadra Prabhu considered themselves as belonging to the family of Nityananda. Right. The book Nityananda Vamsa Vistara, composed by a person from Beniatola, Calcutta, at the end of the 19th century, is modern and opposed to history. Saraswati Prabhupada oftentimes quotes works that were kind of contemporary of his time, which were deviant because they were so popular. His mission was to cut so many jungles of misconception. So now, come to this next verse, 27. Krishnara Dvitiya Nityananda Bahinai Sangi Sakashayana Bhushana Bandhubai. Nityananda is the second manifestation of Krishna. He serves the Lord as his companion, friend, bed ornaments, well-wisher, and brother. Purport. Krishna's second manifestation, Sri Baladev Prabhu, is Sri Gaurasundar's second manifestation, Nityananda Prabhu. Lord Krishna is one without a second, and Lord Nityananda is his second manifestation. Nityananda is inseparably related to the absolute personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the companion of Gauranga, the friend of Gauranga, the bed of Gauranga, the carrier of Gauranga, the ornaments of Gauranga, and the relative of Gauranga in the form of his elder brother. So in that, all these rasas are there. Because as the elder brother, he also has a touch of Vatsalya mood, protective, right? Maintaining. As these other things, like, beds and ornaments, that appears very much like Shantaras. But in the enlightened condition in Braj, everybody is highly conscious, and the relationship with Krishna is more than simple Shanta. Because in Shanta, there's no real conception of service, right? There's admiration, there's astonishment, there's a kind of love, but the idea of mamata and the dependency of the Lord on my service is not there. But in Braj, it is there, completely, right? And that's when we sing, Namami Shradam Sachitananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam, right? Hearing about the earrings that Krishna wears, dancing on across his face and kissing his cheeks, right? These earrings, his ornaments, they have a sense of their special relationship with him. And, I'm going to make him more beautiful, I'm going to touch and kiss his cheeks. Everything is so special. Radhika's bangles, her waist belt. They sing her glories as she gracefully walks. They sing the glories of her Lord, of her Prananath. Right? It's not simple Shanta. There's interaction, beautiful interaction. Vedera agamya nityananda charitra sarva jiva janakara sakka sarva mitra. The characteristics of Nityananda are incomprehensible to the Vedas. He is the origin, protector, and friend of all living entities. Purport. The characteristics of Nityananda are incomprehensible to the knowers of the Vedas. When he says knowers of the Vedas, he means the general scholars who understand and can repeat and recite and may have some realization, but maybe only up to Brahman realization, maybe Paramatma. But the deep understanding of Nityananda, Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna, Baladev, very high. Coming from this Nityananda, the Sankarshan form of Vasudeva in Mahavaikuntha, considered by the followers of the Pancharantras, is not Nityananda's partial identity. He is a self-manifested object. From him, Karnadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and Shiradakshay Vishnu manifest and float in the three oceans. These three Vishnus reside in Mahavaikuntha as Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Sankarshan, as the cause of both Vaikuntha and the material world. The form of Vishnu presiding over the Sandhini potency manifests Karnadakshay Vishnu, from whom all the occasional incarnations are manifested. Since the living entities who belong to the marginal energy of the Lord are manifested from Karnadakshay Vishnu, he is the father of all living entities. That little sentence has to be noted. He says, since the living entities who belong to the marginal energy of the Lord, in other words, jivas, tatashta shakti, they're manifested from Karnadakshay Vishnu. He is the father of all living entities. Many people are under the conception that we manifested in Goloka Vrindavan, or on some Vaikuntha planet. But that's not true. We came from Karnadaksha Vishnu, and carried by his glance, by his time potency, by his semblance, by a special incarnation, Shambhu, Shiva, Lord Shiva in a special form, the living entities are carried into the material, that glance goes towards the material world, and most become attracted by that. Some go to the spiritual world contained in that glance, but some go the other way. It's like a knife's edge, right? Very fine, and some may go this way, some may go that way. It's like a fish swimming in a river. Sometime he may be on this bank, sometime may be on that bank. Who can say what it is that causes us to go one way or the other? But all the living entities in this universe have come from Karnadaksha Vishnu. They've not come from Krishna. And in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the introduction to the 3rd chapter, even though that chapter is about Gajendra, in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada says that all the living entities in the material world have come from Mahavishnu. He says the exact same thing. Right? So he is the father of all living entities. In that expansion of Nityananda Prabhu, the expansion, Baladev in Goloka Vrindavan expands into the first Chaturvyuha, which is Vasudeva Krishna, Sankarshan Baladev, Pradumna, a son, Aniruddha, grandson. These are 4 Vishnu forms. And they take those forms in Dwarka for their Leela. They expand, that Sankarshan expands into a second Chaturvyuha in Mahavaikuntha, right? And of the same name, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradumna, Aniruddha. And from that, all the Vaikuntha planets and all their forms of the Lord and the Lakshmis that oversee each of those planets, and all the original forms of the incarnations and avatars that exist there, that comes from that Mahasankarshan, right? And then that Sankarshan expands into the 3 Purusha avatars, Karnadaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu. And that is the source of this entire material creation, right? And all the living entities that are put into it. So, because he is the maintainer of all living entities, he is the protector. And because he is the shelter of all living entities, he is the friend. And in this material world, he is the protector. Mahavishnu has that role of protector, not Krishna directly. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it's described, Krishna doesn't deal with these things directly. Mahavishnu is the creator of this material world. By his glance, he energizes and stimulates the union between Lord Shiva and Mahamaya, and by that the pradhan is stimulated to create the Mahatattva, and then step by step all of the different energies and elements, and then all the worlds and all the personalities that inhabit it. That's all done carrying that creative desire from Mahavishnu to his various expansions. And Kshirodaksha Vishnu is that form of Paramatma, which associates and accompanies all the living entities in the material universe. So he's the protector. So when Krishna says, Sarvadharmam Parityajya, right, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, no, not that. Not that. God, my brain. No, when he says, Paritranam Sarunam Vinashaya Chadushkritam, Dharma Sangstarpanartaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. We were doing that Sarvadharmam verse so many times, it just stuck in my head. I come to protect the devotees and annihilate miscreants and reestablish religious principles. That is the duty of Mahavishnu. right? He is the Lord and the overseer, the protector of the material universes and the living entities within them. And he is the source of the incarnations that come to do that function, right? But then you might say, but wait a minute, Krishna comes from Mahavishnu, because Krishna's coverage addresses that. He says Krishna can come and go however he likes. So if he wants to come through his expansion of his expansion of his expansion, he can. Or he can come completely independently. But in either case, the killing of the demons isn't performed by Krishna directly. It's performed by his form within this Mahavishnu who does this. Krishna is always playing independently, detached in Vrindavan. So he is the shelter, protector, friend. Lord Nityananda is the supreme controller, and the living entities are his separated parts. They are born from the marginal energy of the Lord and are servants of the Lord. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 5th chapter, that's the chapter that describes the glories of Lord Nityananda, it is stated, this is verses 43 and 45, one variety of the pastimes of the spiritual energy is described as pure goodness, Vishuddha Sattva. It comprises all the abodes of Vaikuntha. The 6 attributes are all spiritual. Know for certain that they are all manifestations of the opulence of Sankarshan. There is one marginal potency known as the Jiva. Mahasankarshan is the shelter of all jivas. So that's a reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita to support that statement of Saraswati Prabhupada and subsequently Archila Prabhupada in 8th canto, that the living entities, the jivas, come in this realm, come from that Mahasankarshan. So, next verse. Iharavya Bharasabha Krishna Rasamoya Ihane Sevile Krishna Prema Bhakti Haya. Mahaprabhu speaking. His dealings are full of transcendental mellows for Krishna. Just by serving him, one obtains devotional service and love of Krishna. Purport. Since Nityananda was always eager to serve Krishna in ecstatic love, simply by serving him, the serving propensity of persons who are thirsty after loving devotional service to Krishna will be fully awakened. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, again 5th chapter, verse 204, it is stated, Jaya Jaya Nityananda Charanadavinda Yanha Hoite Painu Sri Radha Govinda. All glory to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, by whose mercy I have attained Sri Radha Govinda. That's Krishna's Kaviraj speaking. So, that service propensity. So that is what we're seeking, right? So how do we serve Lord Nityananda? We aspire to serve Lord Nityananda through his representative, right? By Sri Guru. You're frustrated in your bhakti, frustrated in your mental condition, frustrated with the state of affairs you find yourself in, do Guru Seva. Don't hide from it. Take up more seva. Chant more. Read more. Do more service. Don't be idle. We surrender ourselves to Sri Guru, and then what happens? The influence of the modes of nature lift. All of that goes away, and we become happy and situated in our true nature, right? Happiness and service, right? That's Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhavasya Sadanabhida Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya Prakritam Hridi Sadyata. Prakritam Hridi Sadyata means that this is in the heart always. And by this practice, this dormant quality becomes awakened by sadhana. Sadhana doesn't cause bhakti. It causes that which is already in the heart to awaken. Right? It removes the obstacles, the anarthas. So don't become the slave of the anarthas, right? Step outside them by engaging in seva. Don't become the servant of the mind. Don't become the servant of the senses. Become the servant of Sri Guru, Nityananda's own empowered representative, and they'll lift us out of this. And so Mahaprabhu says to everyone, tie the piece of his kopin on your head with devotion. Go home and worship it with great care. Take the remnants of Sri Guru, tie them to you. They can be physical remnants, or they can be the service, the order of Sri Guru, right? Put it around your neck like a garland. So there's a long purport, which we'll read tomorrow with this verse. Being ordered by the Lord, all the devotees respectfully tied those pieces of kopin on their head. I'll be anxious to hear this purport by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada about this. So we'll start again with the order. Tie this piece of kopin on your head with devotion. Go home and worship it with great care. Being ordered by the Lord, all the devotees respectfully tied those pieces of kopin on their heads. Right? And what that means is not just making a show. I'm wearing the garments of my guru. I'm wearing the garland of the Lord, but wearing it in the real sense, right? Wearing the mood of service to Sri Guru. We don't carry the Guru around as an ornament, a point of pride. Oh, I am the disciple of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, therefore I'm glorious and everybody should serve me. No. No, rather, if you really want to be a servant of your Guru, you should exemplify the qualities of that Guru, and like in Srila Prabhupada's case, extraordinary humility, and absolute, unswerving, constant devotion and service to the Manubhishna of his Guru Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. That's what it really means to wear the garment of your Guru, right? Anyway, we'll stop here. Offering our obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Gaur Premanande.